Okay, so this one, chapter 1, stimuli and responses. So for this revision, so what you have learned about this chapter 1, stimuli and responses for the subtopic 1.1. So until now, you're supposed to know about human nervous system, and for the future subtopic, stimuli and responses in human, and after that in plant, and the importance of responses to stimuli in animals. So now you have read this one, okay. So in human nervous system, so the most important thing in human nervous system, because this system in our body and also in all organism, okay, they have their own nervous system. So this nervous system is very important because, so I want you to remember this one, because control and coordinate the body. Okay, the importance of this human nervous system is to control and coordinate the function of our body. That is the most important thing, most important fact that you have to remember. For example, when we make any movement, so that movement will involve muscle. So that muscle exactly is controlled by the nerve, and nerve is one of the component inside the human nervous system. So human nervous system will consist of nerve, one of the part in human nervous system. So based on that, you have learned that human nervous system can be divided, can be classified into two. Okay, so I hope that you can remember this one, the classification of human nervous system. So divided into two, central nervous system and then peripheral nervous system. So central nervous system will include brain and spinal cord. Brain, this is brain, otak manusia, and then connected with the spinal cord that inside our backbone, yang ada dalam tulang belakang. So this spinal cord is inside our backbone. Okay, so from brain, there is a spinal cord, and then the branches of brain and also spinal cord, and this one is exactly the nerve. So this one, cranial nerve coming out from our brain, and then the spinal nerve coming out from the spinal cord. So we categorize this one as a peripheral nervous system. Okay. Oh my, what happened to this one? Cannot move. Okay. Okay, so you have to remember this one. Peripheral nervous system consists of 12 pairs of cranial nerve connecting the brain to the sensory and internal organs, and also 31 pairs of spinal nerve connecting the spinal cord to the skeletal muscle. So this is the structure of human nervous system. So very simple structure. Okay, and then how this human nervous system function? So it's based on the controls and coordinate organ and a part of the body. So the pathway of this human nervous system, so how human nervous system function is based on this one. The first one is it will detect stimuli. So this stimuli will be transferred through the information in the form of impulses. So the word impulses here is exactly the copy of the stimuli that being detected by the receptor. So these impulses will be passing through the nerve, okay, to our brain. So our brain will interpret these impulses and then give a response. So it will produces appropriate responses. So this is the simple pathway of the human nervous system. So the first thing is stimuli detected by the receptor, and then this stimuli will be transferred through the nerve in the form of impulses. So impulses is exactly the electrical information through the nerve, and then these impulses will be sent to the brain to be interpreted, and then the brain will give a responses to any parts of the body with an appropriate reaction. So all the activities or our daily activities will involve this detection and responses. So the detection and responses will be summarized by this human nervous system. So my mouse not function, so I have to use. Okay, so now you have learned also about this one, voluntary and involuntary action. Okay, so voluntary and involuntary action dalam BM maksud dia apa maksud dia? Voluntary maksudnya suka, tindak balas apa ni? Sukarela dan involunteer tidak sukarela. Tak sukarela. Cikgu tak ingat dah. Dia punya dalam BM. Okay, voluntary maksudnya the action we know what happened, and involuntary we cannot control. Okay, we cannot control this action. So the responses in human nervous system so divided into two: voluntary action and involuntary action. So example of responses that can be divided into voluntary action and involuntary action, you can see from here. So reading a book, withdrawing hand from a hot object, and then peristalsis in esophagus. So you have to know which action is categorized as a voluntary action, which action is categorized as involuntary action. Okay, now what is the meaning of voluntary action? Okay, voluntary action, okay, is a conscious action, tindakan yang sedar dan terkawal, and can be controlled by our body. We know the action and we can control that action. So all voluntary action is exactly controlled by our brain. So our brain, because the system in our brain as a central nervous system, it can control. So any action that is controlled by our brain will be classified as a voluntary action. So example is reading. We can control the process of reading. Writing, we can control what you want to write. Speaking, we can control what to speak, how to speak. Eating, drinking, walking, running, and exercising. Okay, when we exercise, so we can control how long we want to exercise, for example. So this is among the activities that is classified as voluntary action. It will involve brain. So the pathway of this the pathway of voluntary action is concluded in this diagram. So stimulus, rangsangan, stimulus. Okay, so when any stimulus, so human nervous system will have what we call as a receptor. Okay, so this receptor will detect any stimulus. Okay, will detect stimuli. Okay, and then this receptor will change this stimuli, the detection of this stimuli, into the form of impulses, through nerve and then send to the brain. So our brain will interpret, dia akan interpret, akan mentafsirkan what is exactly sent by the receptor through the nerve. So when brain classify the action and then it will give a responses. So these responses will be passing through the nerve, different nerve exactly, to the effector. So we have effector. Example of effector is muscle or gland. And then so we will react to the response giving by the brain. So this is the pathway of impulses in a voluntary action. Okay, and then this is a voluntary action. Okay, so this is activity, how to control the action. Okay, involuntary action divided into two. Okay, so you can see that involve medulla oblongata and then also involving spinal cord. So involving spinal cord, we call it as a reflex action. So the example given here. So any involuntary action, for example, heartbeat, we cannot control heartbeat. Breathing process, we cannot control the process of inhale and exhale, and also peristalsis, secretion of saliva. So this is the among the process in our body that we cannot control. It occur involuntary. We cannot control and we cannot coordinate this process. It has been programmed to function. So exactly it will not involve brain. So now we look into the pathway of impulse in an involuntary action. We call it as a reflex action. So for example, when our hand as a receptor touch hot object, so when you touch any hot object, so what you will feel is hotness. So the receptor will detect hotness, and then this hotness will be transferred through nerve, and then nerve will change the information in the form of electrical impulses and then send to this spinal cord. Okay, so through this spinal cord, so what will happen is spinal cord will give a response and then send the impulses to the effector. For example, muscle. So muscle will contract. Okay, muscle will contract and then will keep away our hand from the hot object. So this is exactly the reflex action. So this occur in the situation of emergency. We need a very fast action. Okay, that is example of involuntary action. Okay, next. Okay, so for 1.1 human nervous system, we end to this importance of the network of human nervous system in daily life. Okay, so very important. Human nervous system is very important because it controls and coordinates. So I want you to remember this one. Controls and coordinates the organs and parts of the body to carry out processes in the body. So very important.
Hello.
Yeah, jelek.
Bye.
Dapat cikgu habis ni.
I think it's over.
Okay, get back already. Oh, welcome back. What happened to my line? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so I think we can finish our class today. Just an introduction for the face-to-face for tomorrow, for next week. Okay, I hope that you can read 1.2, especially all the 5 sensory organ. Okay, all 5 sensory organ, very important for you to read, to remember, to understand the process and the function for every parts that made up all the 5 sensory organ. Because there are so many things that you have to remember. And if you cannot do that, so I cannot help you for that thing. Okay, so how many?
Teacher, I have question.
27.
Teacher, I have
What?
question. I have question.
Okay, what is your question?
For science, nanti we go to lab or kat class je?
Oh, wait a minute. Okay, maybe. Oh, this
We
one.
have class at Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday.
Okay, MER, MER. Okay, 2 period going to lab.
Okay.
Okay,
One period kat class
okay, 1
teacher.
period in your class.
Okay.
Okay, so for Monday, so maybe you have to go to lab, for Monday. Okay, so for Monday you have to straight go to the lab. Okay, so I think that's all for today. Thank you very much for your attendance today. So how many of you right now? 27. 27 only. Where are the others? Rivanish, Siti Hajar, Rashmita, Putri Nur Ain, Putri Nur Ain. Okay, never mind. So after this, please put your name in your attendance in the WhatsApp group. So thank you. Okay, you can left the
Thank you,
this
teacher.
session. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, teacher.
Thank you, teacher.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you, teacher.
teacher.
Thank you, sir.
Ini apa nama? Nama saya yang kelas aja. Tak ada pun nama saya nama dia.